Team Solo Mid. We sat down with TSM to find out how they research and prepare before going into battle.
So you can research opponents many ways. We try to take many approaches towards that. We always look at their profiles, see what they're playing recently.
Usually a lot of research is also picks and bans. That's a big part of the game.
Their patterns of champions that they pick.
Another thing is we always look at replays in the past.
Like if it's a good play, I'll try to figure out why. If it's a bad play, obviously I'll see it as it fails.
And we just go through it as a team. We talk about what they've been picking lately and banning lately, and just collect all the data we can and just try to form like a hypothesis.
So Team Solo Mid has beaten the guys from GGU in both games they've played so far this season. The last time they faced each other was in Week 5 at MLG, where TSM completely controlled the mid lane with Reginald and the odd one shutting down Jinte in a 26-minute routing of Good Game University.
And Jinte has had a really rough mid lane game against Reginald both times he's played. His career record against Reggie, so to speak, is 0-7-2. So that hasn't been that good. But the first game today, Jinte actually did really well. He was 7-3-10 on Twisted Fate for his complexity. So we'll see if he can carry that momentum from the previous game and overcome the momentum from his previous matchups against Reggie.
Right, but TSM stats from MLG, the game, they really tell the whole story. Those stats were absolutely amazing. The 12-29.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is where you dominate a game, and that's what the stats are going to look.
And that was even when TSM was in a bit of communication shambles. That was during the time they were thinking about the chaos situation, which they've since rectified and decided to put in Wild Turtle. So also TSM's games against Dignitas and COG, this game's really going to tell whether the week's good or not, right? If they come out 2-1 or 1-2. So it's huge amount of stuff on the line.
All right, well, let's get into it right away. Let's get into the lineups. On the blue side, it's Good Game University. Zion Spartan in the top, and then Tendudex in the jungle. Jinte in mid, eyes on him. Mashme at AD, and Bloodwater on support.
And in the red corner, we have TSM. It's Dyrus in the top lane, the odd one in the jungle, Reginald in mid. Of course, the new AD carry permanent starter for TSM, and Xpecial, his support.
We'll have to see if they try to go with, the least jungler or something different as they come into this one for Nintendo X. TSM has always been the team that we say can kind of, and along with CLG and Dignitas, they have their root strats, which are very, very strong and can really just take out anything new or that a team is trying. So having that to resort to kind of could throw GGU off those Elise picks, off the different picks.
And TSM has a bit of an opportunity to reinvent themselves a little bit now, right? Wild Turtle comes in, represents a totally different champion pool, and also a very different champion build. I don't think he's built a defensive item in his first 5 games. I mean, coming into this week, when he won MVP, he had 24 kills and 10 deaths in 3 games. Cop, to give you an example of a totally different style, I mentioned this yesterday as well, had 9 deaths in his first 15 games, right? But that's not because Wild Turtle wasn't playing properly. He is just really aggressive. Like, he's really going for damage, and that does synergize well with what TSM has to offer.
And he's not even like a Zephyr builder either. He's not like, I want the attack speed. He's just damage, 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 damage.
Yeah, it's like always Infinity Edge, always like double Phantom Dancer by the end of the game, and he's just going for it. He actually, if you think back to the game where they were lost yesterday against Dignitas, he like flashed in to 4 people to get a kill, and it's like, he probably shouldn't have done that. But that was in his mind, and that's what he wanted to do.
Absolutely. I remember seeing a few AD carries get antsy yesterday. See Zion Spartan going over the notes. Look at this doc. They have actually picks and bans. That's exactly what that looks like. We know we've written them multiple times.
Yeah, that's actually what I do as well. Like before a game to go into picks and bans, I always write out like, you don't just look at like the previous trends. You think about the trends versus the recent patch and what they're going for later as a team. So it's like, I didn't actually bring my notes for this one, but I have like a list of like, these are the 5 champions that TSM is most likely to pick in every single role. And it's like...
Well, it keeps everything super relevant. I remember coming up to the playoffs last year, and I'm like, I'm going to go back like 4 or 5 months. And then I realized I'm like, oh, none of the champions work like that anymore. I can't go back 4 or 5 months.
I got my notes in my pocket.
Oh, my. Notes in the pocket, the left jacket.
These are really ugly notes, actually. I'm going to get them, though.
Are they Thresh facts?
Yeah, no.
Quinn facts?
I got my TSM notes. Yeah.
Oh, all the notes.
Yeah, I got my TSM notes. Dyrus, I got Renekton, Rumble, Malphite, and Shen. That's my Dyrus scouting.
And he actually, I think his Elise he played in the early season didn't really 2v1 for him too well, so he stayed away from those. That's why, obviously, they're not in the picks and bans. Chat does his homework. But, yeah, he's favored those. We just actually saw him on Malphite, I think, for, one of the few times.
Yeah, and he's pretty good at it, right? Like, it was the week after Hotshot, he kind of had a bad game on Malphite, and then Dyrus picked him, and it's like, well, if you play him in this scenario and the rest of the team follows
Right.
up, it's like, damn, that's good. And, of course, Malphite gets banned.
Oh, the Malphite and the Elise is gone, so nobody gets a bit of the rock or the spider on this one. Thresh, Shen as well, and we're going to see the Akali coming out fast for the Assassins. What would we see here next? Chinte and Reginald. I feel like it's going to be an AP mid.
Yeah, and they banned out pretty heavily against Dyrus, whereas TSM looks to be banning out probably a little bit at Zion Spartan. So, you know, his Akali, when he gets going, has been the thing that's worked for him. There was that total... I feel like that last game against Complexity, the GG won, was just like total chaos, so I don't know if TSM's really looking at that. TSM had a bit of arrogance coming into GGU. I know the Odd One had a tweet, said, I don't mean to be arrogant, but this game looks like Elo Hell. And it's like, hopefully TSM takes them seriously, because to tweet that and then to lose to GGU would not be good.
That's actually what TSM tweeted when Marn had started winning their first week, and they're like, Odd One tweeted, or I think it was maybe K actually, Odd One, like, I'm shaking in my boots, and then I got beat by him.
Yeah, and then they lose to Marn during Super
Don't
Week. And you're like,
underestimate ever. So it's actually the Jace ban out that Chinte and Zion Spartan actually pulling out a little bit of that on both sides.
They're really not wanting Zion Spartan to be on his Sweet Spots champions. And it also blocks the GGU poke comp. GGU's really good at running poke compositions. They're very good at kiting back and forth, and it synergizes well. But for this, Lulu is definitely one of X Special supports, and Caitlyn for Wild Turtle. That's how he got his pennant kill in the first week.
There you go. So again, we're going to see him building full damage. Don't expect any defensive items in that inventory bar. Nintendo Dex and Jinte, and this is where we could find out if they are going to go with something unorthodox in the jungle. They don't have the Elise, and I heavily doubt they're going for the Leona again.
I mean, there's always a chance that they could go with something like Trundle. Like, Nintendo Dex is the one who broke out Trundle.
That's true.
But no, they're going for power right now, I feel like. That is the Kog'Maw straight into Caitlyn, which isn't the best lane matchup for GGU. I wonder if they're going to be doing some lane swaps in that situation.
AP mid cog.
Support TF, jungle Sona,
exactly.
mid cog, top cog.
Break it out. Top cog. Do it. So we could see Team Solo mid pulling out the Zed. Actually left on the board, kind of under the radar here. Didn't even mention him for the pick ban.
Yeah.
Or for the bans, I guess.
Got it on my sheet.
You do.
Right there. You can't see it.
Gosh, so good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Extreme close-up.
Yeah, Reginald's going to be locking in that, and Nasus for Odd One as well.
Cool.
Man, if I just would have read my sheet before this, I would look so good, because I've gotten every one of TSM's picks right here. Nasus is something that the Odd One's probably picked up because it fits his kind of supportive style. He can just like walk around and get the rest of this in, and I feel like they're going to lock that one in. I'm getting the last one. Who still has to pick for TSM?
Well, you need your top lane.
Yeah, I need my top lane.
So
All right, so Dyrus,
there you go. You
Malphite,
said
and
it.
Shen have banned. He's going to play Rumble or Renekton.
Rumble or Renekton. This is going to become a Reddit thread, so you better you better get on this guy. Mash Me, looking to throw in the Heimerdinger, obviously getting locked in, and then Bloodwater for something.
Yeah, Bloodwater's support already locked in.
Right.
But what is he going to go for? So they actually need, I need to focus here. They actually need to pick their top laner that's going to probably go up against Renekton or Rumble. And Zion Spartan should play Rumble. Like, he actually used to draw Rumble bans, and it would deny Dyrus his Rumble. But they're not going with that.
Absolutely not. They want a little more just front end burst instead of that late game fight. So it looks like they may pick up the Kazakhs, but Mashme still has to switch around here. So
yeah, he's probably not doing Heimerdinger.
No.
As cool as it would be, this is going to be Nintendo Dex's jungler. I mean, Volibear is still available. So many of these teams are bandwagoning onto going Volibear and Nasus. I wonder if they're going to go with the same thing, or whether Nintendo Dex is the bandwagon type. I'm not sure, because he was the one who was jungling Olaf and Riven like when no one jungled them. So he's always been a little unique.
this is true. One of the people that got me to jungle Olaf.
I could never do it.
No?
No, I can't.
Undertow
catch the
is so
accents.
much fun.
What?
Wait.
Yeah, Trundle.
Yeah.
You sneaky.
Kept it by the T's.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what X Special locks in here. So we did actually, called out the Trundle pick. Clearing
Long
off the
ago.
crystal ball.
Kind of cheating.
Yep. Kind of cheating. So Kazakhs and Trundle being picked in there. Is there any kind of correlation between those two? You get up the pillar, Kazakhs just jumps in on it.
Right. It's actually potentially a really good poke composition, because you can spam pillars for the slows, and you can also spam your void spikes for the slows. So if TSM can't hard engage on them, which based on that composition they have right now, not the best hard engage, and especially with the rest of Dyrus' champion pool kind of being Renekton or Rumble, we'll see how that goes. Like, the hard engage isn't going to be super hard. Wow. I mean, Dyrus has came out and said he tries to limit his champion pool to like 5 champions. So I just wrote down those 5 champions, and I'm like, yeah.
Limit the pool, lock the screen, go to lane.
He does not lock his screen anymore.
I know.
But he used to lock his screen, which for all you people who play screen lock, you too can become a professional.
You can. Absolutely. So we'll have to see if this does get finally locked in. It's one of the two, and it looks like he's going to slice and dice it up to pick on Renekton.
Yeah, because I mentioned both, he didn't mind game me.
Yeah.
Got him. So here we go. TSM's team composition. Reginald on Zed is actually really strong. He's one of those almost uncounterable mid laners who makes TF's life pain for the most part. Whether Reginald will be able to aggress here, I do think TSM will be able to hard initiate when they want. That is just a bunch of power picks for TSM. And you look at GGU, they're running their poke comp again. This is the way they like to play when they win, right? 3 of GGU's wins this year have came against Vulcan. None of them against TSM. They're 0-2 in this situation, but I don't think they've ran poke against TSM yet. So we'll see if they can pull this one off.
Well, TSM looks like they want to just get that split push down, avoid that poke. We'll have to see if they can get to that mid-late game and really start to crush the lanes down. Lanes win. Obviously, we just heard Dignitas say, or Scara say in the interview couch, you have Caitlyn in a lane, you're probably going to take that down. So we may see a little bit of focus from Nintendo Dex in that bottom lane or a swap to kind of free up that pressure.
Yeah, Caitlyn Lulu is like the annoying lane because it's like, man, Caitlyn's annoying. Man, Lulu's annoying. Put them together.
Oh, man.
What are you going to do?
That's the positive.
You just
though.
explode.
Two negatives.
It becomes not annoying.
It becomes awesome. Yep, it does actually become awesome. I like the math we have here. So coming into the 5th match of the day, Good Game University versus Team Solo Mid. We have our compositions. Lulu and Sona on support, so we have a bit of aggressive on the support and a bit of disengage, engage from Sona. So these fights probably won't be happening too early from them.
No, probably not. I mean, even the ganks from these two junglers are very procedural. They try to walk up and slow someone and then get them down. So, like, unless someone's overextending or doing a wrong thing, the ganks are usually just for pressure or tactical advantage. So this start of this game could be very lane swap heavy. We'll have to see.
Absolutely. We have seen that yesterday, a back and forth game. I think Team Solo Mid was in that one. It just, the lanes kept swapping over and over again, back and forth. We'll see if GGU and TSM does it once again to each other. We see. Good luck. Have fun from everybody as they make their way on to the Summoner's Rift. Looks like everybody's going to head down mid on this one as they break off left and right. We'll see what they do for the early game. TSM, really not one to invade. GGU, however, they've kind of been doing a little bit of it.
Yeah, it looks like we got some slight headset issues for Nintendo Dex. That's probably why he's not wearing it. He's like, I can't hear, man. It's got to be louder. Last game, they were able to adjust that really quickly. Should be quick here again. And yeah, I mean, the level 1 again, GGU did this in the last game as well, and we can talk about it quickly here, even though we don't have it on the screen, is the amount of Explore Awards and the amount of people on GGU that like the utility spec. Like, it could just be a team-wide thing that they like building so many Explore Awards and the utility spec in general, because you don't see that volume of them from other teams.
As we see them getting set up. And absolutely right. It's actually the ward that kind of took out Dignitas and the cursed Dignitas thing in the beginning. So those Explorer wards kind of paying dividends at times for the bit of gold or tree you go down to get it.
It was actually a small FPS issue, not a headset issue. So they're just going to have this one respawned real quick, and we should be into the game. So talk about the rest of the actual level 1 items, because we have seen a growth and a disappearance of like red elixirs. So like Dignitas is the team that does like 3 red elixirs at the start of the game. 750 gold into it. Here we have 2 from TSM and just the 1 from GGU, and both the AD carries just going Doran's Blades as well. I think that's, you know, I don't know if the red elixir I'm a Cutie Pie start is working out for him too much, but he's really the only one who does it. He
seems like he holds onto it super long. He'll get like under 100 health before he knocks it off. He'll take an exhaust, he'll keep the fight, and then we've seen him hold it, and you're kind of like, that's weird how he plays it. So you're right, whether it's been playing it as an advantage to him or hurting him lately, we really can't tell yet.
Yeah, so I wonder, as we're getting right back into the game, they're readying up. We're going to finally get back into this game.
All right, so here we go. Game 5 again underway. We'll see what they're doing. Looks like Dyrus is going to head towards the top side, but right now we're just playing the human ward game. It looks like we're going to have that 1v1 as of right now.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Red elixirs, like you said, on both Renekton and Zed in mid, Reginald and Dyrus. As actually, they're kind of all together in mid here. If they were going for an explosive fight there, if Bloodwater would take a few more steps, it would be bad news, and they look to set up for that here. Bloodwater doesn't see. He actually puts himself just around the elbow. Does he have the wither out? Oddwood chooses a skill. There he goes. He gets the vision down. The yellow card to come in. Good guy Jinte saving Bloodwater.
So the odd one really had to skill up Wither right away. Probably didn't do it fast enough, and he didn't lock him down. Did he even have to burn a flash? No, he just walked away. Yeah. And the thing with that is, Oddone just started with Wither. So his jungle clear is actually slower. Even though he kind of got caught up by 5 people, that was a very good thing that happened for GGU.
You're right. No flashes blown on both sides. Good play there by Jinte to be the saving grace for Bloodwater. That would not have worked out. GGU needs everything they can get in this early game because, like we said, if TSM goes back to the wheelhouse, they still just have a very strong strategy.
So we'll see now. Looks like level 1s are real even.
Yeah.
The vision control will
they
be
did
very
swap.
beneficial for GGU's laning phase, especially since Nasus' ganks are already around the other side, actually. It's TSM who has the early vision control, you're right.
And also, we see TF going top, so it looks like Jinte is going to put himself in the long lane here.
That's a very interesting choice. So they're going to try to 2v1 against Reginald Zed in mid. A lot of teams, especially COG yesterday, was calling Reginald like the biggest threat on TSM, and they try to 2v1 against it, but like a lot of the people who've been playing Zed, oftentimes, like if they're playing him top lane, pick him because he's so good in a 1v2. So this is a very bold play, and I feel like Jinte's top lane is going to get shredded down against Caitlyn and Lulu. We'll see how this works out.
Super mana-heavy lane to just continuously farm with wild cards here. We'll have to see what he does. Always trying to prop up a card to keep himself safe, and Zed may start to roam here. I believe it may just be for a ward, or they'll try to continuously put pressure there.
And Dyrus got all in at level 2 by Zion Spartan and really paid the price for it. He's going to have to burn a lot of his health potions just to get back on this one. Zion Spartan hit the early level 2 over Dyrus and just punished him back. And since the odd one started with Wither, he's also not going to be able to rescue Dyrus soon at all. So that's going to be really good for Zion Spartan.
Yeah, like you said, the odd one not being able to rescue, he's also forced to just be in middle, so that's hurting his jungle too. Jinte getting a little bit of help up top from Nintendo, but he's not going to fully show in lane there. Going on kind of face to face here. Spartan putting on some more damage as he hits level 3, so he's kind of just trying to all in every time he gets a level.
And now you just look at how slow Odd One's jungle is, unfortunately. He actually smited his blue buff as well, so he's had to wait for his smite to come back here. Very slow start, whereas Nintendo X is already at 11 minion kills and rolling up top for a gank. So I don't know if this gank's going to work. It's mainly just supporting Jinte's turret, but it's still an advantage nonetheless.
Yeah, they see the ward down by blue. Nintendo puts one over the wall for himself to give Jinte a bit more safety, but yeah, it's going to be known by Wild Turtle Special as they play this completely safe. Still, Odd One is forced to kind of hang out in middle after getting his red. That's just going to be his babysit zone.
And we'll see. I mean, all these junglers just actually babysitting against the 2v1s.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even jungling, which makes me think we're going to see kind of even less action. The only lane that we could really see action in would be the Dyrus versus Zion Spartan lane, and that is actually being frozen at the turret as well. So, yes, the junglers aren't the strongest gankers, and the lanes are all 2v1s, so we probably won't be seeing much yet.
It's the 2-2-1 method.
2-2-1.
2-2-1. 4 minutes into this, and that's what we've really been seeing. See, the Odd One did his wolves. Looks like he's going to say, I don't need to be mid just yet, but he is going to Wraith, so he can stay around that spot. Wolf Wraith, Wolf Wraith.
You know, because of all the support Nintendo X is throwing up here for Jinte, the 2v1 mid is actually getting more turret damage than TSM's hyper shove lane up top. So this little tactical ploy by GGU does look to be paying off early.
If they can get more damage down, that turret opening up the most of the map on TSM's side, and they'll definitely have entry to blue. They'll have entry to red, and a good way to set up that dragon if they can go for an early one. Odd One back to mid. Looks like Nintendo X is having a bit more safety in his jungle, not having to control the lanes.
And now the Odd One is just like, yes, he kind of leeching experience, right? He
Yeah,
had
it still helps.
the start early that was slowing down, but at this point, he could just be jungling, but he's just supporting the mid lane. They're really worried TSM is about losing this middle turret, and they're not doing the best job of clearing it, so the Spirit Fire is coming out from the Odd One, and he really wants to be able to clear that away.
This is really interesting to see how TSM is adapting, because not many people are able to dictate the game this early versus a team like Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, definitely not, and it's Dyrus who's backed out now for his first buy, just going Cloth Armor and Doran's Blade Armor next, and like, Dyrus getting out farmed a little bit, just even a little bit, but this is a good start for Good Game University, and I mean, a lot of the lower tier teams in the LCS do have good opens to the games. It's just a matter of later they can't hold their cohesive strategy, and we're seeing something like this here because GGU's start is great.
And it finally comes down to it. TSM knows the way to adapt to this is to actually swap the lanes back. They put Zed back top, and they put the AD carry and support mid.
Yeah, they found the window to be able to swap back, and that's going to shut down that mid shove entirely. They probably won't get that turn into the lane into the turret anytime soon. And because of all the support that they were granting Reginald, now since Reginald's close to level 6, that's also going to put a kill threat on Jinte, so that was a perfect time to swap a lane for TSM.
Jinte almost, actually he's not even that close to level 6, so being in mid for himself now really doesn't give him that destiny advantage because his ult won't be coming up soon. Like you said, that pressure is going to count. Almost up to 7 minutes here. Nintendo X now trying to hold off, really can't stop any of the damage to the turret, but here, gold card coming out to it special. It's going to be some good damage initially. The exhaust goes out. I think they'll be able to save it, but a great all in there.
And look at all the damage they put back on a Jinte as well, so that means Wild Turtle's going to be able to continue to shove, and Reginald is on the hunt. They could actually get a substantial amount of mid-turret damage, even if Nintendo X tries to hold this one.
He is seen right there. He doesn't see a health bar that he wants that much. It looks like he's just going to safely walk out of this. No attacks coming in, so he doesn't take the aggro.
Yeah, so the flank wasn't the best. Wild Turtle did come around, and they didn't want to risk diving. Such a ugly jungler that Trundle is in that one, so still, not much happening early in this game. The lane swaps have kind of neutralized themselves, and Reggie back mid again, so a lot of chaos early.
Wild Turtle staying true to all the damage. I shouldn't say true damage, to just buying damage. The BF sword is first and didn't even have enough for the boots.
Yeah, that's a good thing for Caitlyn to do, especially if he's just kind of trying to turret up and shove. It's going to make his Q do a... I'm not sure if the BF sword will clear the entire back line if it's unobtrused or if there's nothing in the way because there is damage fall off on it, but it will make him shove a lot better, and he doesn't really care about the escape mobility at this point.
So Odd One more than happy to pick up the second blue as he has Reginald in mid just spamming away on energy, and that's going to kind of help him really even himself out from being hurt in the jungle earlier, but it'll even help him get back to normal here. 8 minutes coming up, 9.5 thousand to 9,400. These teams quite close. We have a tier stacking up onto Zion Spartan. Looks like he's going for that Muramana in the end as he picks up a fort pop for himself versus really kind of replicating Dyrus' build here in lane.
Yeah, and we can tell that this game hasn't really gotten underway yet because no one's drank in their elixirs yet. They started with 3. It was Zed, Renekton, Kha'Zix. They still got 3. So when stuff's going to go down, they're going to be drinking those. But until then, they're waiting for it because they don't want to waste the 250 gold. And, oh man, Kha'Zix just used his. So something might happen.
Absolutely used there. Dyrus could be chugging his soon. Chug down right there. Looks to get the stun back. Oh, the ignite. No, it just ticks away. 100 health. Not 50 health.
Yeah, the laugh comes down from Dyrus because he could have poked up. He could have used his ultimate and gained 300 at any point during that.
That was,
but he mathed it out and he realized he's going to be fine.
A belated birthday present from Zion Spartan. So we see Nintendo Jinte pushing up in the top lane. Nintendo's still kind of roaming around as they went ahead and swapped the lanes back this time. Odd.
Yeah, I mean, the Odd One is keeping up pretty well. Like, Jungle Nasus isn't about the Siphoning Strike, but it's at plus 69 right now. It's doing pretty well. Nintendo X actually putting more points in Pillar than in Rabid Bite, which is a really strange thing unless he's trying to go for like really early ganks in Dragon Control, because when I play Trundle, I always maxed Rabid Bite, so Nintendo doing his own thing on Trundle, and let's see if he can do something with a gank top.
Alright, he is pushing it in. They're trying to get this lane gank in. Staying just out of vision. If he dips down towards blue, that vision ward has him. And Jinte now with his blue buff is going to be able to pretty much clear these waves out a lot better. He will have a fun time in there, but his turret's almost down. We have not seen any taken yet here as we come up to just about 10 minutes in the game. Dyrus moving up, however, just behind this one. We do see Odd One on the other side of mid. It's going to be Bloodwater. If anyone, they're going to dive in. There's the attack. They hit up Bloodwater, and he goes down for first blood.
They saw the flank opportunity. Dyrus walked in between the wards, and they get the top turret at the same time. So really good play by TSM here. Let's see how many more objectives they can take.
And they're trying to put that pressure on so they continuously push the lane. They know they have the damage on Jinte. He's level 7, but Destiny's not going to matter if he has to heal. And the Odd One stays in mid to keep crushing down a few. Stack on that Q. Dyrus returns here to Zion Spartan. The one-on-one slice. Can he get the dice for the extra one? The dice back, and he puts himself out of range, just kind of staying out.
Yeah, Dyrus didn't have his ultimate there, so he didn't really want to sit and brawl, but at the same time, he knew that since Zion Spartan started with the tier of the goddess, that Dyrus kind of has the brawl edge for him right now. Dyrus sitting on 1,000 gold as well up in the bottom lane, so see how that one goes. And look at that gold in the mid lane, pretty much dead even between Don't Mash Me and Wild Turtle. All the lane swapping really just letting them both farm as much as they want.
And really considerably a super low farm game besides the AD carries. 50 and 60 CS at 10 minutes for the mids. That's absolutely, that just goes to show, you know, the swapping in the early game and the confusion created by all of it.
And we'll see if Reginald can recover from that, because teams want to shut him down. They're somewhat shutting him down, and he's going to want to be getting a lot of the extra farm back now that the rest of the game is going. And Nintendo X, with those extra points in his pillar, gets a bigger percentage slow and a lower cooldown on pillar filled as they're trying to go down the dragon. Jinte's not in range to stop this one, so if TSM wanted to initiate, they would be able to, and they're trying to get this dragon.
They have a really great wall. Great damage AoE from the backside of Zion Spartan. Will it be enough to deter them? It looks like TSM actually holds it in the den, a very aggressive positioning for Dragon. And they're going to go ahead and looks like they may get top turret for this, though, on GGU's side.
That's the trait GGU was fine taking. They were already down a turret, so even though they've traded this one back, it's like, yeah, one turret for a dragon. A lot of times teams will take the turret. The big win or loss of this will happen when GGU pushes mid or not.
All right, so it looks like he's going to back and not get the last few card shots onto it. That's interesting.
He was scared of Reginald and he thought the creeps would save it, but since Reginald has kept it safe, that's actually a pretty big loss for GGU until the minions are able to get it. But TSM's not going to want that to happen anytime soon.
So now it's kind of keeping Reginald at bay. TSM obviously is going to play accordingly to this, knowing he's going to try and push that lane for the next probably 2 waves, and then he'll be able to back off. Not see too much damage on that turret. Look around, BF Sword into Pickaxe, finally grabbing the boots, up for Wild Turtle. Like we said, the CS for the AD carries is pretty even between them, 110 to 103. It looks like we have to see an item pickup here soon. 1,600 gold onto Don't Mash Me, so we'll have to see what he comes back with.
Yeah, he's going to want to go for that early Infinity Edge. Like, even on Kog'Maw, a lot of the guys used to go, like, Phantom Dancer first, but it honestly works either way. It's just a preference thing. He's got less mobility, and he's more of a turret against this, but, you know, TSM trying to push down the middle lane, and it's really easy for TSM to push since they can just wither mash me.
Like, they are going to throw out Pillar. It's not going to deter too much. A few shots onto the turret, but a good wave clear there coming in. Pushing up on Reginald from the top side. He may try to get this dash on. It looked like he wanted aggression there, and you can see Jinte knows. He just smells the aggression and runs right out.
Yeah, and GGU's really kicking themselves over that top turret right now because they could really use that 750 gold since they've all been back to shop.
There's the TP in coming in, Destiny, and no.
They're going to want to get a turret out of this one because he just substantially lost a lot of pressure for his team if they can't make something happen.
They are going to try the wave clear. Too good. Piltover Peacemaker into Spirit Fire, and the minions don't even get attacked by the turret.
Odd One's like supporty push Nasus. He hasn't really been jungling. He's just Spirit Fire, mid lane over and over again, and he's shutting down GGU's push. So good utility usage by TSM of that champion.
The new General's babysitting service.
Yeah.
14 minutes into this one, it looks like he is going to go ahead. Actually, he's going to give it to Turtle. Does Turtle want it? Turtle may give him some help here, but we'll see who it transfers off to as they get back into the lanes. Xpecial trying to hold off whatever Mash Me and Bloodwater can push up here, and it does go to Turtle.
The luxury TSM has, Renekton is Fury-based, Zed is energy-based. Blue buff goes to Turtle so he can spam Piltover Peacemakers all day in mid lane. That's smart.
See Nintendo X in the top lane trying to get himself bolstered up as well. Jinte just on the outside here. They go on to Spartan, but again, they just have a little too much vision too early, and TSM is able to walk out of most of these engagements.
Yeah, it's one of the rages that players have against Nasus. It's like, yeah, we're there for a counter gank, but Zion Spartan's withered, so we can't really fight, and now TSM's going to be able to push this down despite it being a 2v2.
Reginald taking out red as they're taking out their turret down bottom. So it looks like TSM bolstering both the top side and the bottom side here as they pick up resources and some global gold. That's going to be 21,000 gold to 18,000. So TSM grabbing a slight lead. Really haven't seen those objectives come into play just yet.
And now TSM wants to get this mid turret. They've been trying to get this for so long. Like, it's amazing with all the pressure that these teams have put down in the mid lane, how neither team has managed to kill that middle turret yet. And I feel like it's really close. It's going to be a fight probably for this middle turret that actually decides it because TSM's playing super aggressive here.
Pushing it. Like, why are they trying to come in from each side here? If they know it's kind of not what they want, they've shown themselves. What is the team thinking when they're trying to pinch that?
I think they're really just trying to keep the pressure off. So they don't know which side is warded since they don't have vision control.
Okay.
And also GGU doesn't have wards in the river. So actually when they come in from like one side at a time, they get knowledge of the wards just by approaching. And that might have been what GGU's doing, but I'm
kind
not
of
sure.
feeling it out, seeing what's going on. 2 minutes to the Dragon, so I'll have to look for team positioning as that comes to play. Blue buff going over to Jinte as they clean up again their resources, pick them up in the jungle. 1 kill so far. That was going to be picked up by, that has been picked up by TSM, I should say, on Bloodwater gank mid. So we'll see what they do for that. Like we said, GGU has that disengage for the fights. The crescendo to come out onto these. We haven't really seen a big fight yet, so we'll have to see if GGU can perform that.
And Dyrus has his Sunfire cape already. I mean, Locket Leon, Solari, Infinity Edge. TSM's beaten GGU to all of the big items that they really want. Like, it's a mana immune for Zion Spartan. That's not the Mirror mana that he cares about yet. Seeker's Arm Guard on Jinte doesn't have his Zani's Hourglass, right? Like, if TSM can get a fight, probably in a minute 15 seconds for the Dragon, they'd win it. And that's what TSM's going to be going for soon.
Looking around, looks like both supports have picked up these sight stones. Still pushing top. Dyrus continues to pressure onto Jinte, and really having Jinte clear the top lane. Yeah, everybody's in mid, and that's where the fight's going to be, but you can't Destiny to, Dragon that's coming up in 50 seconds. They have kind of out of position there with TF.
Yeah, putting Jinte in that top lane has really cut down on his global map pressure. It's not provided any threat to TSM's duo lane, which is usually one of the big impacts of TF, is it shuts down your AD carry. Not the case in this game because of the way TSM is playing it, and the fact that Reginald is really catching up in farm with this split pushing action. He's kept that lane pushed past the dead turret so long that we've almost forgotten there's one hit left on that TSM turret because GGU hasn't seen it in forever.
Absolutely, and really it could just be a Destiny port up there and he could teleport out before anybody gets him. That's going to be worth the gold they need right now because it's not going to be a fight. They aren't in position for it and they're not grouping for it, for that fact. It's going to be 10 seconds here to even say whether they can win the fight or not. Like we said, TSM's core items are up and so is Dragon.
Yeah, you can tell GGU wants to keep the pressure here. They've backed at the right time. They know Dragon is live. Jinte would be able to come in, but they got to remember, 3,000 gold. They got to look at the items too. They have to be extremely careful with the way they approach this. I'd say there's a large strategic edge coming into this one from TSM, but got to see how it plays out.
Go ahead, clear the wave, make sure they have all the pressure onto one of the objectives, whether it be a turret of the Dragon first. Reginald, good shots from Mashme. He doesn't even have the Infinity Edge finished, and they're able to really put some pushback pressure on TSM without taking any.
And there is the poke from GGU.
Wow.
I always underestimate poke whenever I'm watching. It's like they're down. But if they can just poke without ever engaging, it doesn't matter if the other team beats you in team fights because you start the fight with the other team in half health. And TSM took a lot of it that time since they're not aggressively forcing a Dragon or aggressively forcing a fight. They're at mercy to this poke as long as they dodge it. Either TSM goes in now or they lose the turret.
It just goes to show you how much damage Wild Turtle builds. He can't even go off to the side and attack Wolves to get that lifesteal back. He hasn't built it. He has the Infinity Edge. He's got a bit on the Dorans, but you can see him chugging potions, and it's really keeping them out of this fight that they can't get their health up.
They're trying to go back one at a time and all heal up. You can see Renekton just going back. Reginald has just been back. But it's going to be a 4v5, and unless they are avoiding poke while Dyrus runs back, they will lose this turret. TSM really trying to hold this one off because if they got a 5v5 fight, they'd win. But if they keep getting poked, they're never going to be able to do it.
There's that next wave. This could be it. Teams like to initiate on a turret going down. But like you said, Renekton, Dyrus still coming back in, and TSM was forced to watch that. Reginald trying to play a little sneaky here, trying to go through the ward, though, and GGU is going to be able to set up for any counter here.
Yeah, and Wild Turtle is sitting at like 500 missing health. Wild Turtle has 800 health right now. You can see Odd One's been poked off, 400, right? That's X Special is also down 300 health. And it's all that combined. You're thinking they're already pretty much a champion worth of health before the fight, just by the poke. So that 2,000 gold advantage now isn't the biggest deal, but here comes the fight.
Oh, Jinte still can't get the yellow card down on from the Destiny. TSM will turn around on this one. Where's the crescendo to come out from Bloodwater? They are going to have to get out so they can group. Jinte is a focus for Ace in the hole. Doesn't do that much damage just yet, and they are going to be able to pressure this one right onto Jinte. He could explode here, but he gets the yellow card out just in time. The death mark still hits. That's not going to leave him, and it's going to be 2-0 here as they're pushed back to their turret.
TSM barely got the initiation. GGU didn't quite group well enough in the flash. Death mark by Reginald really finished him off. It almost seemed like TSM was going to have it, or GGU was going to have it because Dyrus popped his Dominus, his Renekton ult really early and couldn't make it in, but because they got the kill on Jinte, they're going to be able to finally take this Dragon.
Jinte's got, I don't know if he just picked it up, but he's got to be more aggressive with those ports. He's too far behind. He's coming in very late and only got an auto attack off on that last port.
And the good thing is he did make it to the Zani's Hourglass, so that gives him the ability to do that. Everyone's seen the Messiah play. They've seen the juke outs that you can do on Twisted Fate. Like, he will be able to do a lot of good things with that, and it is the perfect buy against Zed. If he times the Zhonya's right, he will avoid the deathmark damage. He will also avoid a lot of the damage done in between. So it's going to be on Jinte to make the big plays and his team to follow up afterwards.
Good burst of damage coming out for Zion Spartan as he picks up his BF sword and some wards as well. The entire team remembering team game. We got to keep vision, and as Crumb said, vision is power. So these guys are keeping that on the docket and keeping it all over. A lot towards Dragon right now, as nobody yet coming up on that full Baron damage dance fight. So that was a big comment train of words.
Yeah, Yeah, and GGU will have to find the poke comp for themselves, right? They've managed to pick up the Infinity Edge. Silent Spartan's still waiting on that Merman. How close is he? Let me check. He's at 472 of 750 mana, so he's actually not that close to the transform yet on Kha'Zix. They gave the blue buff to Jinte, so their poke is actually pretty good right now, but they would have to group up 5 and just continue the poke. They lost that one out when they kind of went towards Dragon. Dragon's not an objective here. If GGU wants to make something happen, they'd have to jump back into that poke exchange.
Pillar is going to be a really big factor, I feel, in this fight. There's one right there. If they had the full team ready, Kha'Zix from the top side, that could have been huge, but the turret was too low. Odd one still going in. Spirit Fire down onto Bloodwater. Looks like they're taking some good damage. The Locket was completely burned there by the Odd one, and he's forced to use the ultimate. They've lost a bit here, and this is that poke comp. He throws himself in the middle. Yes, Link. Jinte coming in big. Can he continue to get the damage? The Wild Growth goes out, but his team wasn't able to get to him. It was a little too aggressive. Zion Spartan on the backside trying to deter, but it's going to be a Wild Turtle double kill, looking for the triple kill. One more shot. He flashes into the wall. Oh, he gets the crescendo from Sona, if you pull it into one word. Here we go onto Zion Spartan. He jumps out a bit. Can he get it? There it is, the triple kill for Wild Turtle.
And look at the reason he was able to get that Wild Turtle ultimate off is there was a ward in the lane, and he's going for more. He doesn't quite get it. Slow and steady won the race for TSM there. They got that fight. It was a 3-for-3 though, right? So they did. I just wanted to say the pun. It didn't work out. That was a close fight, right? That is not an advantage for either team. And don't do that. Don't try that at home.
All right, Jinte, that was what we were asking him to do. I don't think the team was ready for it. That was a little too far ahead. Really great counterplay there by TSM, as you said. 22.5 minutes into this one, we see a bit of a back and forth that shows us what these teams can bring to the table finally. It leaves us at 5-3 and 4,000 gold in favor of Team Solomid. They are up one turret right now, Jat. We saw everything have to come out for that one. The Nasus ult and the Locket of the Iron Solari to really deter the burst damage in the beginning, and then they're able to find the ground in the fight. After closing in on the poke damage.
Yeah, and GGU realizes that the persistent fight threat of TSM is way higher than theirs, so it's like, if the Renekton and Nasus ults are running at the same time, just the AoE magic damage that comes out from those is enough to kill like a whole team if they're standing near them. It's actually completely crazy, so GGU has to make sure to kite them back and go in at the right time. They did actually a really good job of it that fight, even though Reginald dove in super, super hard and created a lot of havoc. Those fights were extremely close, and it is on them to poke, and not get engaged on.
Looks like, as we were saying, the Muramana looking to be finished. The Last Whisper also looking to be built for Zion Spartan here. As we look at some of the items, they're actually not building up on the Aegis to Bulwark. They're really going up against a lot of attack damage anyways.
Yeah, and it's, you know, people underestimate the amount of magic damage that comes out from those guys. So they're like, that's a physical damage team. We do not need an Aegis or a Bulwark. But you kind of do. Dyrus might be dealing more magic damage than physical damage right now. Sunfire Cape magic, as well as his ultimate. And Jinte, what?
I don't know, we're gonna have to see. Jinte goes in, the explosion! Reginald could be the one to go down, and they play it cheeky, coming out with the kill.
I was so distracted there. I don't know if he went into the gank or if he was doing an ult to escape, but that was a win for them as they got the kill, and now TSM's trying to push down mid, but they're down a man.
He put himself right on Reginald in the gank, and here comes Masmi from the side. Keep attacking Masmi. Look how quick Odwin and Dyrus go to focus him. Ooh. Absolutely having to jump out. Kathy and Surprise is the damage that he'll get left, and it's not going to take anybody out. A beautiful turn by Dyrus and Odwin.
The poke comp tried to go before they poked, and they lost the fight really hard in that situation because even though they landed the perfect crescendo, they just did not have the sustained threat. The sustained threat was the crocodile and the dog killing the puppy.
Mid turret going down. He completely pulled it back with that one, of course. 25 minutes in, 6-4. Another turret has gone down. It's going to be our first second-tier turret of the game. Team Solomid starting to dictate a bit of the control and where it's going on the map. Infinity Edge for the carries. And looks like Turtle is a bit ahead with the Last Whisper finished over the Zeal on Mashme.
Yeah, that's actually an 80 carry build I haven't seen before. Usually you see attack speed after the Infinity Edge, especially to synergize with the crit, and you have someone giving him attack speed. When Wild Turtle gets his Zeal, his damage will explode. But right now, it's more about the poke and the ultimate that he's getting that damage off for. His sustained threat isn't as high until he gets more attack speed. But with that build, his ultimate's hitting really hard.
We have Dyrus on that Sunfire Cape. Looks like he's actually going for just a bit more HP as well. The gold in the game really in the favor of actually Wild Turtle right now. 232 on CS, almost 10,000 gold to his name.
Yeah, and even in the game that TSM lost yesterday against Dignitas, Wild Turtle was like the threat.
Yeah,
we saw the interview
sure
afterwards with Kiwi Kid. It was like, yeah, that game was all about Turtle. He got super, super strong, and he's done it again. He's actually performing amazingly considering the amount of pressure that guy's under.
Now, knowing that, you know, Wild Turtle's a very good AD carry, but Kog'Maw is the late game AD carry. Is there outplayability there?
I think it's going to just be hugely back and forth. Like, Don't Mash Me has a tall task since the dive of Dyrus and the Odd One, and Reginald is just so much compared with the poke against Wild Turtle. Like, poke comps don't really kill AD carries. AD carries deal with it by sitting in the back, and then Wild Turtle's going to clean up. So I do think almost all the advantages are already predetermined to be with Wild Turtle.
All right, about to see. Jintae's going to be picking this one up as he finalizes his own blue. We can see Team Solomid doing the same, as nobody's really in preparation for a fight. They're going to be clearing up everything around them and the resources. We almost have that Muramana finished up on Kha'Zix. We'll look at the CS right now. Like we said, 241 as Wild Turtle just a bit ahead of Don't Mash Me, but Kog'Maw, that king of late game. Let's see if he can pull out the kills. 189 for Reginald to 153. So we can see Jintae definitely focusing on that global map presence and starting the fights for his team with those Zhonya's Destiny rather than Reginald farming it up.
Yeah, and I know people probably hate me for it by now, but I always point out ore items. There is the Aegis on the Odd One, right? That is huge.
Yep.
It is so much impact in these next team fights, especially when they're dealing with the poke coming out. The regen aura that it gives them, even just to deal with the poke, is important on top of the magic resistant armor it's giving them. It's very important in the team fights.
They are going to get some pressure down onto Baron. Bloodwater has an Oracle. The ward goes down, and they're going to start to dance this one out. 7 minutes from the last time we really put eyes on Baron, and the core items are finished. They are ready. Jintae looking to build a Lich Bane along with his damage. Still hasn't even finished his boots there. Let's see what these guys choose to do. Reginald going for that Bloodthirster into Brutalizer. Really, everybody backs off after getting vision.
And now it's on TSM to make things happen. You know the Oracles is there for X Special, trying to make plays. GGU's actually doing a whole bunch of backing, but it's very difficult to sneak a Baron against a Twisted Fate team. They kind of know when things are up, but what TSM can do is they can beat someone to a spot. So like if Zion Spartan pushes this lane up a little bit, he's going to get caught up by TSM. Twisted Fate ult goes off though, and they're just going to try to do some split push in action.
Looks like he is actually going to go to the bottom lane to help out as well. We have Mashme pushing down in mid. They are actually looking to close down on Mashme if he were to come over, but TSM is not able to find that just yet. They look at blue, they search it out again and get the clear on. They're just really positioning to do this.
And here they go. I mean, they dropped the Spirit Fire. They haven't popped like the Nasus or Renection ult to really rush it down. There's the Nasus ult, actually. TSM's going all in for this Baron. They want to rush it down. They know the TF ult is down. And here comes Intended for maybe a steal. He doesn't get it.
The pillar to get in. It doesn't give him much. The Baron goes to Team Solo Mid, and GGU is on the run. Zion Spartan taking a quick hit of damage there, and it looks like they actually may have thrown down a shadow to get at him, but Reginald was not in range, and they are forced to back off. That's a big lead now for TSM.
People really underestimate the Baron speed that Fury of the Sands from Nasus gives you. It's the percentage health per second, and it just ripped the Baron down. There was no way GGU expected it to fall that fast. Like, they were running towards it, but that was just a good tactical play by TSM and the General.
Looks like they will use that to finalize a bulwark. Go ahead and continue to grab more pink wards as well to control this map. And really, they haven't had to worry too much about Jintae. The entire positioning of Jintae this game in the top lane really took away the fact that TF is your assist buddy at level 6.
He hasn't made the global pressure, and they haven't gotten the objectives that a split push team really wants to do. So his ults have mainly been used for like awkward initiations and a bit of poke. He's way behind Reginald in farm and in gold, right? 9,800 gold on Reggie to 7,400 gold on Jintae is not that comparable. Also, the huge lead between Wild Turtle and Don't Mash Me, so like that 7,000 gold overall from TSM is really being impactful here. It's a matter of whether TSM can break the turtle at this point now, because Pokecoms are pretty good at turtling a base as well.
Well, they have a Wild Turtle, so it takes one to know one. Coming up to 30 minutes onto this, like you said, they are up in gold, so this push may be quite easy for them if they can probably take out, an Nintendude first, and once again, Odd One Dyrus are just going to face roll onto Mashme.
And Dyrus taking this one slow. He knows he's super powerful on Renection right now with his Warmogs and his Sunfire Cape, and since he's getting that side turret, GGU can't end up defending it, and they're taking the turret advantages as they can get them. Zion Spartan goes in, and that's a big Zed.
Zion Spartan has to use his ult, but he flashes into the base wall. Oh, man, they did add a few more bricks to that. It's a little higher.
Zion Spartan was trying to make his own play right there, and it really just backfired on him. And this will give TSM the window to go in, right? They can tank this turret. Doesn't matter if there's a pillar there. They're going for this inhibitor.
It's going to be a big takedown for them. A lot of map control now goes into their favor. They even have Baron, so this may not stop here. The eyes on the top inhibitor turret, chat. They're going to just go ahead and walk right through that pillar undeterred and continue the damage.
Yeah, they really walked slow through that pillar. Like, the kiting of GGU is actually really crazy. They just ran out of resources to protect, and GGU can't really give up the second inhibitor, but they also know they can't fight. This is a bad situation to be in.
Mashmi just came off the fountain, and he's almost out of mana, trying to throw everything he has at them. Nintendo's throwing out the pillar, again, to deter them out. Great placement by Traps is really stopping any quick initiation to grab Wild Turtle, anybody on the leave.
And the crazy thing is, TSM still has over a minute and a half left on this Baron. They might be able to cycle inhibitor number 3 during the duration of this Baron, in which case it will be one of the most successful Barons possible that they can get from this. They're already pinging on a potential fight for Bloodwater. They're trying to get the creeps there. They have a wave that would be able to arrive, and they're just going for it. Straight tank, no creeps.
Absolutely. It's going to actually be onto Reginald. They're just going to know they have so much damage to get it down. Trying to get that blue buff on to Zion Spartan so you can use that mirror mana to its full capacity and just continue to throw out the damage. Odd One getting a little harassed from the pillar, so he can't back just yet, and GGU is really on their heels right now and doing everything they can to just poke at TSM.
And they're just going for it right now. I mean, everyone's going back. They're buying the big items. Wild Turtle, I don't think he's ever going to build a defensive item. He sold his Dorans for another BF sword just because he wants to build a Bloodthirster right now. That's just the obvious logical thing against Kha'Zix jumping in and assassinating you. Is just kill him. Kill him before he kills you.
So we see actually Nintendo's X piecing some stuff together. What's he going for?
Yeah, Nintendo X already has a Lock of the Iron Solari,
Right.
and then he just kind of has a mixed match of items because he's been starved a little bit on gold. Only 96 minion kills, only 6,500 gold. So it's like he wanted to go for like a Spirit Visage, maybe because that's actually a really good item for Trundle since the increased healing will work on his passive as well. But he's not there. He only got the Kindle Gem so he can max his CDR and get more pillars up because that's one of the reasons he has the cooldown boots as well.
I thought he was just looking on the sale of the Locket of the Iron Solari, picking up 2, you know.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
double him up.
Doubling up. So the Litzbane is finished onto Jinte. They haven't been able to put any kind of split foot pressure into any lanes, though. They don't really have a super big initiator as well. It's going to be Jinte going into that fight or Trundle grabbing somebody out. But we've seen what Dyrus and Odd One can do, and that's not even mentioning Reginald, Turtle, and Xpecial.
Reginald would pretty much be able to kill Don't Mash Me if he gets a good initiation. There's no Lulu Waltz to save him like Doublelift had the luxury of in our last game where we saw the Zed diving onto them. And this push is going to mean trouble for GGU. Yes, they have outlasted the Baron of TSM, but these super creeps are going to keep someone on GGU permanently on duty, and they're pretty much going to have to fight 4v5. Dara's just laughing it up, waiting to go in.
He is absolutely ready to slice and dice into that fight. I like where GGU's positioning is, though. They're not bunching up. They kind of have the poke spread out in a line across. Mash we can throw out. Jinte can get out the wild cards, and none of them can really get comboed into anything. But here comes the next wave, just at the second turret coming in for TSM, and they might even wait for it. They're going to go ahead and get caught up on the pillar. Dyrus takes a bit of turret damage. The GGU is liking this right now.
You know, Wild Turtle didn't even go in at all for that one, despite it being a 4v5. Now the next creep wave is here. I wonder if they're just going to man up and go for it.
It looks like they will. Wild Turtle already getting too many shots on, and they know his damage is too great. Nintendo's X coming out. He throws down the pillar, and they squeeze right in between it. They're able to really make that have no effect.
And this is going to be a third inhibitor. Like, if GGU lets this one down, they're giving up the game. But if they straight up brawl TSM, they're probably getting aced in well as well. They're really stuck right here.
Spiritfire going out. They're trying to shred. They just have so much long-range harass of their own to go against this poke. They just can't stop it. The trap's really deterring them from initiating any fights. The Nexus turret's now to take quite a bit of damage. GGU has everybody up, and they're forced to watch this here.
They gotta fight. I mean, you have to at least try.
There it is, the crescendo across 2. Dyrus and Odd One, the ones that need to stay alive, are going to drop the fastest. Odd One keeps himself alive with the ulti. Reginald taking some damage there as Zion Spartan leaves himself to safety. Nintendo's X just getting pushed back, and again, nobody was able to focus Wild Turtle. Nobody touched him, and they're able to take down the Nexus.
They might just get this Nexus without a kill, and there it is. 5-7 TSM. They win it.
Absolutely. We said there's no CS in the game practically for the mids the whole time until that mid to late game when we didn't see, but there were no kills. It was all back and forth. Every time there was aggression, it was we know what's going on. We're walking out of this, and TSM finally found the grounds for that good fight, that one mid fight, and then they took it from there to Baron.
And one of the things you're trying to do with the poke comp is avoid teams initiating on you. GGU did that, but they kind of took it to an extreme because you can't just let them kill all your buildings in a Nexus without putting up a fight.
Right.
They had to find a way to go at some point.
When you have a team like that, where would your initiation come from? Because they kind of put themselves in between a rock and a hard place, not having an initiator.
Yeah, you pretty much just have to try to do it when they're going in the Trundle Pillar with a bunch of poke, and you kind of try to slowly chase them down, but TSM didn't give them the windows to go, and I think the big backfired fight when Bloodwater landed like a perfect crescendo and they lost really just put a stop to all their initiation calls, and they probably played scared the rest of the game.
All right, well, guys, after the break, we'll talk to Reginald from Team Solo Mid, and then that's our last match of the week, Vulcan versus Curse. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're very pleased to have Reginald from Team Solo Mid joining us. Team Solo Mid, Reginald.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to say it. But good game to you guys. Absolutely coming in the end of that game pretty strong. But what was up in the beginning? It seemed like there was almost no CS, a lot of lane swaps going on. How are you guys adapting?
So the biggest thing with GGU is that they've been going poke, 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 like in LCS, and they've been doing really well with that. Like if you watch their matches, they would be behind a lot of gold, and they would come back. So the biggest thing is when you're playing against a poke comp, right, you have to clear vision and make sure that you do a really solid engage, because if you engage incorrectly, they're going to poke you down, they're going to chase you down, and they're going to kill you. So whenever we engaged with against them, we'd make sure that there's no way that they'd be able to get away. We'd make sure that it's very instantaneous, and we'd make sure that everyone's on the same page. So we took it really slow, and we made sure that every single play is a good play.
Right, so what would you say like the turning point in that game was then? I know at one point they were poking down the mid turret really, really well, and then you kind of did get a fight at Dragonfight. Was that the play that developed, or was it something else?
So I think the biggest turning point is the first blood in the Dragons, because it gave us enough gold lead to make sure that our champions are really strong and that we can split push. One of the biggest things is that we made sure that no towers were killed early on, since they had a really, really strong split push, our poke comp, right? That's good at tower sieging. We'd want to make it so their towers, or our towers, would die like very, very slow. So what would happen is, as mid tower was about to die, I sent 2 of our players middle to defend that tower, and we made sure that we got a lot of more gold than them before they would actually get our towers. And what ended up happening was we were able to get 2 towers in a dragon before they even killed 1 tower, and we used that as an advantage. We got enough wards around the map. We made sure that TF was a non-factor, and I was strong enough to just split push top until dragons come up. And we only wanted to make it so that we'd fight when dragon is up, and we wanted to make it so they were pressured enough so they can't push when dragon is down.
Right
So
on.
was there anything in particular that you did in the picks and bans to make sure you could initiate on a poke comp? Because you obviously saw it coming. Do you want to walk me through why your picks were good picks against GGU?
Our picks weren't actually very good against them, but our playstyle was very good against them. So if you notice, right, they had everything that would be able to stop and engage. They had Sona, they had Trundle, and they had like TF Gold Card and Kha'Zix Slow. So one of the biggest thing about our comp is that we had no engagement, like no good engagement, no solid engagement. So we had to make sure that when we go on them, something has to happen or we'd lose the game. And the biggest thing was just I had to make sure to go on a target and kill someone. Because if I didn't kill someone as Zed, it's like I'd be useless and I'd get stunned and I'd die. So we just chose our fights really, really, really well. And had we not, they would have pretty much killed us. If they played it right, if someone didn't get first blooded, it didn't give us a small lead, I think that they would have outpicked us and they would have won.
Cool.
Right on. So TSM, known for its coining of the aggression, obviously from you as well. We see Wild Turtle next to none, next to ever buy any health items, any defensive items. Is this going to change, or do you allow him to just play like that?
It's his playstyle. He's been playing very well lately, and he's actually been performing a lot better than a lot of players on the team, and I'm very surprised with his performance. He's a really good player, and he meshes really well with the team.
Right on.
And how's the rest of his adaptation going? Like, not even through just playstyle-wise. How's he fitting in with you guys?
So he's a really goofy guy, and like he's very positive in general. He meshes really well with the team, and because like, okay, he's the type of guy, right, that would just be there, and like whatever he says is funny, right? Because he's like he makes people laugh off of dumb jokes. Like he would just say something really goofy, and you'd never ever expect it. He like when we're just hanging out in the room talking about strats, he's like, I really like cats, and I'm like, what? We're talking about picks advanced. He's like, yeah, but I really like cats, and he goes, wow, and everyone just starts laughing, and so he makes it so everyone's just like, I don't know. It just feels good playing on the team with him.
GG's got to respect that. Loving the cats.
Yeah.
So for you, coming out with a lot more Zed, you're obviously aggressive. What made you kind of go to the AD casters in the first place?
The biggest thing right now is that pressure is very strong. Like if you notice, you can't really play the stall game. It's really aggressive right now. Like if you notice, the teams are super good Season 2 with their stall comps, with playing for late game like CLG, EU, and CLG, and the split push. They're not doing so well because they're not adapting to the aggressive play style. And I'm trying to do that right now. I'm trying to play mids that have very strong control middle, so I can roam, so I can pressure, and I can force objectives. And I haven't been. It's been really hard for me to adapt because I played more of a roamer / farmer Season 2, so I'm slowly adapting to it and getting better at the role. But I wouldn't say like I'm at the very top with what I'm doing right now.
And just getting back to the Wild Turtle situation a little bit more, you guys are 5-1 now since picking them up.
Yeah.
The last time you guys made a roster substitution, you went on a total rampage, and back in Season 2 you won like 4 or 5 North American LAN events in a row. Are you expecting kind of a similar tear? What kind of mindset changes does TSM go through that when they pick up a new player, they just seem to do so well?
Mainly because every player is very extremely motivated. They don't want to be wrong. Like you know, when you go through a roster change, you're like, right? It's very important because if you win, you're right. If you lose, you're wrong. That's simply it. And every player is motivated. Every player makes practice on time. Everyone's working really hard. And like our games are very, very good now. Like, we're doing a lot better. Against Dignitas, we fell short, but the reason why we lost against Dignitas was, like, if you watch the match, we had extreme gold lead. We're playing very well. And with the new team, there's always going to be miscommunication. There's always going to be bumpy roads. And what happened was we lost due to miscommunication. And Dignitas also played well. Scare, I had to give it to him. He played really well as Gragas, and he caught me off guard. But aside from that, like, we just work really hard as a group, and we really want to be on top and get back to where we were.
So as working really hard with this new solid team, seeing that it's working well, are you guys ready to take chances with new strats, or are you still feeling out, the beginning of having Wild Turtle on the team?
So with Wild Turtle alone, we're already trying a bunch of new things. Before, we would just stick to a certain comp, like with MF Jarvan, and we would just play only that. With Wild Turtle alone, his champion pool brings a different set to our team, and we've been trying new things all of a sudden. Like, I didn't really play Zed until he came along. Like, I've been playing a lot more aggressive champions like Diana, Zed. I'm picking up more champions, so our team composition has changed dramatically.
Awesome. Well, congratulations once again in the match, and good luck in the rest of the LCS.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys, now it's time for our last match of the week, Vulcan versus Curse. They've scrimmed each other many times, but as everyone knows, the only victories that matter are the ones that happen in live competition.
Curse is kind of a mismatch for us. In scrims, it's kind of like 50-50, but we both don't necessarily like super try hard in scrims.
I think in scrim mentality, we're more of a practice team, so we don't try our hardest, but when we're out there in LCS, we'll definitely win.
We feel confident against Curse. If we scrim against them, we usually win, so hopefully it happens in the real thing, even though they don't try hard in scrims.
I think we should have them. We've played against